G'day fellas and welcome to the future of casted games. Today is an amazing event because this marks the beginning of the future of Age of Empires 4 and its casting. Ladies and gentlemen, sporting in the north of the map, in the color green, playing as the Byzantines, we've got Lash. And on the south side of the map, in the color blue, playing as the Ayyubids, we've got Recon. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Dry Arabia. It is a pleasure to have your company. Today is I would say a very important day for Age of Empires 4, because what you're going to see today will revolutionize the way Age of Empires 4 is consumed on YouTube. We'll start it out that much, and you might be wondering, okay, Drongo, you know, you've been talking it up. What is it that you've got that you're hiding back there that's so damn good? Well, how about we start with something a little bit small, you know, maybe a little bit of split screen action as we track these two scouts making their way across the map. Not only do we see two different scouts as they make their way throughout the map, but we also see on the mini-map each of the routes that they've taken, as well as where the scouts currently are. So I like that. I'm hoping that you guys will like that as well. Hopefully throughout the game, that is going to add a little bit more pizzazz, because not only do we have the scouts that we can do the split screen for, but of course we can just do that, you know, maybe there's a bit of a base race or something like that that happens. We can potentially look to track multiple targets at the same time. So that's exciting. But not only that, we've got other things as well. Do I dare say that we fixed the Ayyubid age up? I could say that. Should I say that though? Oh, I don't know. It's a little bit scuffed. We'll have to see how we're doing. Well, let me just put it this way. I'm excited because it's taken, like, how long has Age of Empires 4 had the Ayyubids now? It's been like, what, 4 months, 5 months, somewhere around that region? And unfortunately, the devs have just put that on the back burner. They're like, you know what? We don't need to know if the Ayyubids are aging up. That's not on the, you know, that's not important. That's not relevant. But for me, as a caster, I said, you know what? That's kind of important. Are the Ayyubids aging up? And why doesn't it show it on the UI? Well, ladies and gentlemen, guess what? We have fixed it. It is incredibly exciting. Not only do we get to see the Grand Winery, but we will also get to see the age up from the Ayyubids. Whenever it comes through, it'll be up there, I assure you. And have a look at that. Oh, isn't it beautiful? Look at that. The Ayyubid age up is fixed. Ah, it's a bit scuffed. Oh, it wasn't easy getting that up. I want to give a huge shout out right now as well to Magical Cow. Magical Cow has been doing production for Age of Empires 4 for quite a while. He's done production with EGC, with Rising Empires, and he's reached out recently. Obviously, I posted up a video basically saying I'm not happy with caster mode. It's been put on life support and there's nothing we can do about it. Well, he reached out and said, actually, Drongo, there is something that we can do. And he was working on this at the exact same time that I was, you know, I was having a hissy fit over on YouTube. And fortunately, we've gotten in contact and everything is looking fine and dandy. So I'm incredibly excited for the future of Age of Empires 4 caster mode. Unfortunately, the devs aren't going to be supporting it, but the community is going to be supporting it. And this is just the start of things to come. I want to just emphasize that. This is just the start of things to come. Let's do a little bit of a scatteroo follow. What do you guys reckon? Look, we got the split screen. We should use it. We should find out exactly what these two guys are up to. Now, there's a couple little differences that you might notice. Like, as an example, at the top of the screen right now, you won't see the upgrades coming through. That was a design choice. I said, you know what? I don't want to see those upgrades coming through. All I want to see is just the resources. Because for me, at the moment, the big key is where are these two scouts at in relation to the opponent's base? Because I need to know what information they're looking at. And at the moment, it doesn't really seem like a whole lot. It's just going to be scouting that's going to be happening. But, of course, we bring it back in. And naturally, we've still got the Ayyubid age up over on that right-hand side. It is happening. Oh, man, I tell you what. It's nice to have that up on the UI there and be able to see that the Ayyubids are aging. And, of course, we can actually see it is going to be the military wing that the Ayyubids are aging up with, which is always nice. It's going to be the reinforcements. They're going to be looking for early Desert Raiders here from Recon. So we'll be checking in with him and seeing how he's doing now as that age up does come through. And the first of the Desert Raiders is through. Now, of course, this matchup, Byzantines, Ayyubids, two civilizations that are pretty good at the moment, I would say. I feel like the Ayyubids, even though they got the nerf, they're still pretty damn strong. And the Byzantines, whether you like it or not, these guys are sleeper good. There's a lot of, to be honest, like, there's so many civilizations that are good at the moment. Ottomans, number one. Byzantines, Ayyubids, the Chinese are good, Juicy Legacy's good. It just feels good, man. Anyway, Lash now going to be looking to bring out the Archer. They're going to do a little bit of a cross. It's the classic case of, I don't know what the meme's called or where it's from, but you know the meme of the two people in the car, or well, there's one person in one car, one person in the other, and they're looking at each other as they pass each other. It's that sort of meme. You know, I'm sending a unit, but you're sending a unit. And it's a bit interesting that Lash has opted for this kind of opening. So started off with the one system, which makes sense. Going into the second one now. And then he's opened with archers. And normally what we see out of the Byzantines is a little bit more of a focus on Lamentinite early, and then after that moving into javelin throwers. But I think Lash has realized he can't get away with going into javelin throwers this early on, just simply because he's not going to be able to collect all of those berries. So that's going to be of importance. But we'll check in with Recon and see how he's doing on this south side of the map. He's got the stable that's come up. Horsemen are on the way as well. Outpost going to be going down on the gold. So it looks like after getting out a couple of units, he's just going to be looking to try and secure up this gold, maybe thinking about heading towards the Castle Age. Upgrades on the way through for him as well. Picking up everything. Have a look at that. He's picked up all the tier 1 upgrades and wheelbarrow. So a real focus here on the economy. I'm liking this opening a lot from him because on one hand, it's defensive enough that he's not going to die if his opponent makes a lot of units. And at the same time, he's focusing on his economy and teching as well. At least I suspect he's going to be teching. With that many vills on gold, no real way it's going to happen any other way. But now scouts in the middle together with the armies. As they follow along, we can ride on board with these guys. We can track them out. What do you guys reckon? To be honest, it doesn't really make that much sense to track the armies here. It's like, oh yeah, okay, we've got an army over here on the left, an army over here on the right. You know, Drongo, we could probably just watch them. Yeah, you're right. We could just watch them. They're here on the screen. It's one of those things where it's like once you've got the tool, you just want to use it all the time. It is, yeah. I'll be honest. Okay, it's a bit scuffed with how it's done. And it's still not perfect, but I like it. I like it a lot. So I'm actually using a second computer. And what you're seeing right now is the first computer. And then when I pull this one up, that's the second computer over there. And I'm basically putting it into the video feed so that you can see it. And this can work for a whole bunch of different things as well, right? Like, so guess what? If ever we watch a Rus game, we're going to be able to see their bounty now for the Rus player. We're going to be able to see lots of stuff. Like Joan of Arc, you're never going to have to wonder how much XP Joan of Arc's got ever again. That'll be great because we'll be able to tell you. And it just means that we've got that little bit of extra room. And look, at the end of the day, it sucks. I'd like for it to just be in the game, but the devs aren't going to be supporting caster mode. So the community, it's up to us to fix it. But nice little raid coming through now. Recon looking towards this top side. Meanwhile, down towards the south, a couple of army units just working their way through. Walls continuing to come up. Villager numbers have yet to fall. He hasn't taken out any just yet. It's only just Lamentinite, a couple of archers as well, but we'll lose out the scout together with that horseman. Now down towards that south side. The units continue to build here. Now, one thing for Lash is that he doesn't want to fall behind, because if his opponent goes up to Castle Age, which we can only suspect is going to be happening very, very soon, it will naturally mean that... oh, yep, there's the age up. Look at that on the UI. Have a look at that. The age up is already being displayed. Isn't it so beautiful? The age up just comes through. I just know what the age up is going... Isn't this lovely? Isn't this lovely? Look at this growth now coming through. You're going to be picking up a lot of villagers with this. How many villagers are we talking right now? That's 8... No! Hold on a minute. 8 villagers? That's kind of crazy when you think about it. Hold on for a minute. To make 8 villagers, it would take 2 minutes and 40 seconds. So by the time you get up... So the age up's in 1 minute and 20 seconds. So 10 minutes. So 240... So... It's basically the equivalent of getting a TC up at the 7-minute mark. But not only that, he's also gotten all the eco upgrades as well. That's kind of wild, dude. That's kind of wild. I don't think I ever really considered that as an option. Military wing for the early aggression. Buy yourself some time. Get the eco upgrades. Throw down a stable for a little bit of units. At the same time, the outpost goes down on the gold to prevent anything happening to that. Your opponent, if they try and go for some kind of Kairosophont, you're not going to have too much of an issue because your age up's coming through shortly. At least you shouldn't have too much of an issue, but we'll have to see exactly how it plays out because at the moment, Lash is looking pretty serious about causing havoc inside the base of his opponent. But we'll have to check in exactly with the armies. as they begin making their way through. There we have it. The defense. And now, there it goes. The Hierosophon firing off. I tell you what, it takes a little bit of mental power for me to actually do that. That's that's not easy. I'll say that much. Far out. That's a bit tougher to do on the micro front. I've got 2 keyboards, 2 mouses. I'm clicking 2 sets of buttons, but anyway, we'll worry about it later. It looks like it's going to be longbows that are actually coming out for Lash instead of javelins. Interesting decision. Javelins have definitely been the flavor, not just of the month, but probably like the last couple of months. They've definitely been the flavor. People have been focusing on them, but the age up now comes through for Recon, and we'll be looking to move into those camel lances. A little bit of a siege coming in on the wall. Berries in the backside as well. We'll be threatened here. Hierosophon just going to be sieging down all the buildings out here. House goes down. Where does he go next? So he's going to just be targeting up each of the houses here. You can see at the moment Recon is housed. And with this, he'll need to be throwing down at least 2 houses in the meantime, just to make sure he's going to be able to cover this Hierosophon and the damage that it's putting out. He does manage to get back up to population, but villagers now going to need to be doing a little bit of a run. Meanwhile, back in the base, just keep in mind, we still have that Hierosophon that is doing... Oh, yeah, we got picture-in-picture. I forgot to mention, we got picture-in-picture, but we'll have to worry about that later because at the moment, our focus is going to be on these villagers, 4 of them going down. And finally, it looks like the rest of the units have made their way through after taking out that Hierosophon. Did they even take it out? They might not have even taken it out. 7 workers taken out already. Recon in a little bit of a difficult spot. All that villager advantage that he got from the age up has now been denied away from him. Lamet doing a wonderful job, and you can see it looks like Lash will be working towards an age up behind this. Numbers, I think, pretty decent for Recon. He's also got that reinforcement advantage as well. Should look for a re-wall here, but to be honest, probably won't need it in the immediate future, as the Camel Lancers will be able to strike down the rest of the units here. So we'll be able to hold, but I'm going to be honest, that was a pretty big loss, and it shouldn't have happened. I think that was something that Recon really needed to pay attention to. Well, that obviously just didn't happen. So, yeah, unfortunate for him. We'll say that much. All right, well, let's check in with Lash and see how Lash is doing towards that top side. At the moment, military numbers aren't the highest. He's only got 7. The Golden Horn Tower is coming down. He's got the outpost on the gold as well, and looking to continue expanding out that system network. There's going to be the 3rd one that's coming down, so not really focusing too much on it. Now, when it comes to upgrades, he's picked up 2 of the 3 eco upgrades, or at least the 2 main ones. And keep in mind, the Grand Winery is on the front, so this could be a little bit difficult for him, considering how aggressive Recon is looking to be here. Now starting to move forward to his opponent's base. Recon looking to put on the pressure. I guess we could keep an eye on that army as it does make its way across the map. It's always important to keep track of where it's at. Villagers back here slowly working their way up. The age up will come through. And now those units finally make their way towards the front, and it's going to mean an idle economy out here for Lash. This is difficult because, keep in mind, he's got the age up that's coming through. He wants to be collecting food right now because he needs to get food for those Varangian guards. It's so important for him to be moving into those after the age up comes through. Lamet, he's got 4 in queue at the moment, looking to pick up the veterancy for his mercenaries. We can see it coming through now, veteran contract. A little bit of a wall towards the top side. Doesn't look like it's going to go through as the villager count starts to dwindle here, and Recon looks to get back some of his own against Lash. Slowly but steadily, the numbers of villagers on this wood line is falling. Meanwhile, down towards the south side, we've got plenty of units that are coming through. We'll keep an eye up on that north as more and more reinforcements come through. It's only a matter of time until the front line is overwhelmed as well, and we can see that those numbers are looking absolutely amazing here for Recon. How does Lash hold on to this? He's got 5 military population here. There's a couple of things that he can rely on. Number 1 is going to be that Golden Horn Tower, getting out some longbows. Number 2 is actually just getting mercenaries. And you can see that he's opted for this veterancy contract, but it's going to take so long to pick it up because he hasn't actually switched over to Dialecticus. When you switch it to Dialecticus, it reduces the time that veterancy contract takes to research. So it's really important to switch it over immediately after you age up, because normally you pick up a veterancy upgrade as well. So you get both of those on the same system. But the breakthrough on that top side looks like not going to be able to find too many villagers, but meanwhile on that bottom, Recon now looking to put Lash on the run and really getting it back. So 16 worker kills versus 11 now. Recon demonstrating the power of the Ayyubids. That timing was absolutely immaculate from him. I love the way that the aggression forced out units, but yet it wasn't enough units fast enough to actually warrant any kind of real punishment over here. I say any real punishment. I mean, Recon lost 11 villages. That's some real punishment. Was that a mango emplacement? It was indeed. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. The mango emplacement is online. More villagers going down, though. He's lost 19 workers so far, and you can see him really struggling right now to get his head above water. But remember, when you're playing as the Byzantines, it's a little bit like the Ottomans. You've got this Golden Horn Tower that's just pumping out units non-stop for free. And you've got your olive groves as well, which are going to be giving you that secondary resource in droves. So it's only a matter of time until those military numbers start to really pump back up for Lash here. Meanwhile, archer numbers will fall. Lament 9 numbers also going to start building. Have a look at this on the front line. Recon once again going to be looking to push through. Looks like we picked up the second tier of Golden Age now for Recon as well. That means he's going to be looking at picking up an extra bit of research speed, which will help out for things like this right here. We've got... Is that wedge rivets coming through? It is. It's wedge rivets coming through. Well done, Drongo. It's coming through on both sides for both of these players. Villagers on the run, and now it starts to feel a little bit difficult for Lash here, because not only has his villager count been absolutely neutered, but his opponent has thrown down a second TC and is now throwing down a third TC. And this is where it gets really, really difficult, because not only are there units in his base killing his army and killing his villagers, but he is going to be essentially losing that villager lead, or getting gapped on that villager lead even further. How does he hold from this position? I feel like number one, and it comes down to spawn, right? Like this was not a very good spawn for him. If we have a look, both of the wood lines are at the back. In fact, all of the wood lines are at the back. He's got 4 wood lines that are across the back of his base, and that's never what you want. Ideally, you want those wood lines towards the front, because it makes it much easier to walk. When you've got a wood line at the front, it makes it simple to connect, because now you can shut down a complete side to your opponent attacking you, and a lot of that is just going to be because of this wood line. But unfortunately for Lash, it wasn't the case. He's got a complete open front. Only thing that's out here are just resources, and those are the things that he wants his villagers on. And it's just one of those things where it's like, you know, it's... I think that's one of the good things about Dry Arabia too, is that it is an open map, but you can get these spawns where it just makes it very, very cutthroat. It's almost like Gorge in a way. You know, Gorge, the wood line always spawns to the back. And so it guarantees towards the front, you're always going to have aggression. And I think that's what we saw here, is we really saw both players taking advantage of that. Sacred Sites now going to be picked up here. We'll ride on board with Recon and see how he's doing. Going to try and work... I'm going to try and work in on my second PC. I tell you what, it's so hard. I'm going to actually have to get some auto hotkey scripts that are running over there just to make sure that I'm pressing all the buttons easily. It's just, you know, one click of the button and boom, there we go. All right, I've done what I need to do. But it's tough because at the moment, the way that it works is I'm looking for an idle military unit, and then I'm following that idle military unit. And if it doesn't move, then it just sits there forever. And you can select all the military units and then follow them, but then the problem is it just takes the average value of their location. And so often you'll just end up in no man's land, which is where I'm currently at on my other monitor. All right, well, how about we try it? I'm going to follow this over here as the longbows slowly work away at the archers. And see, now over on this PC, yeah, this is... I tell you what, this is going to take some... It's going to take some getting used to. All right, we'll say that much. Because at the moment, it's just a grey screen that we're watching. You want to see what we're watching? I'll show you what we're watching, picture in picture. It's not a grey screen, not anymore. We got units. You don't really see too much of it though. It's just down towards this position. So we've still got some kinks to iron out. We'll say that much. But it looks like Lash is still going to be staying in the game. We've got ourselves a double villager threshold that has been reached. Recon double the villagers of Lash at this stage. 35 against 77. It's not a pretty position to be in. It's a slow and steady whittle down of Lash by Recon. Not only is that villager count burgeoning, but the military count as well is starting to build here. Meanwhile for Lash though, Lunch Connector going to be joining the forces. Doesn't look like Recon's paying a whole bunch of attention. Indeed. Plenty of units out here on the map. Let's check in with the relics. So far, 2 relics picked up. Sacred Site taken over on that west side. And now just that dervish running out and about. I tell you what, doing this right now, I've got so many thoughts in my head, and it's like I want to write stuff down, but I can't because I'm casting. You know what? I completely forgot. How could I forget? You know, this is the future of Age of Empires 4 caster mode right now that we're talking about. I should have cracked it. Mate, I'll say that right now. I've got wings coming out my back. That is for sure. Wow. That is good. That is good. All right. A little bit of a push coming out from Lash. Now, to be honest, how does Lash get into this game? I don't know if there is. I don't know if there's a way for him to do it. I think maybe if you... See... What I was going to say is if you go knights and then look to raid your opponent and take out villagers. The problem is, this is the problem. Byzantine don't have access to knights. In fact, they've only got access to horsemen, which can work, but they don't do nearly enough damage. They have access to the cataphract, which doesn't have charge, which, can I just say the cataphract? I mean, I love the unit. I love the idea. I love the design, but I just hate it at the same time. I feel like they need to give the cataphract charge at the very least, and then still allow it to have that trample ability. Like, that would be pretty sick. Can you imagine charging it and then trampling through? That's how it should go. Because it feels so underwhelming, that unit. Not to mention that it's slow and it's expensive and it can get focused down by, you know, a massive crossbows. Whereas, like, a knight can get focused by a massive crossbows, but a knight doesn't cost anywhere near as much as a cataphract does. At least that's the way I think about it. All right. And so you can't really get back in from that angle, right? Like horsemen coming over here, like 6 horsemen come in, you're probably going to kill 2 villagers before they get back to the palisades. And that's on the condition that Recon doesn't notice, because he's got wheelbarrow, doesn't have textiles, but he's got wheelbarrow, so he's going to be moving pretty quickly. But now coming through, Lash on the front side. Nice little army that's beginning to build here. Does have the advantage technically. Ghulam numbers are building. And now slowly and steadily moving forward. Cavalry going to get caught out of position. Not even really caught out of position, but just going to be deciding to fight up against the Lametanai. But I think together with the Ghulams, they don't even really mind tanking it up. He just says, you know what? I've got the numbers. I can take you out. And now, once again, Lash going to be finding himself on the retreat. Have a look at that villager difference. You know, we talk about the difference, the eco difference. It is just well and truly happening right now. This is, it's not pretty. We'll say that much. All right. Slowly and steadily. Recon pushing up towards that enemy base. Walls are coming up from Lash. Now, could he throw down town centers to catch up? I don't think so. At this stage, I think it's too long gone. I think he's probably lost a little bit too many villages. You know, 24 villages is a lot to lose. Mango emplacement. Hold your horses. Mango emplacement could buy him time. In fact, that's one of the ways that you can look to buy time is through mango emplacements or through a keep. Something like that to buy yourself a bit of time. But you've got to head back to that question of what's your win condition here? How do you win this? Now, of course, the Byzantine late game is incredible. So if we can make it to late game, then, okay, we're in with a shot. But the truth is, even if you make it to late game, your opponent is so far ahead of you. Like, we're almost at the triple villager count right now. This is getting ridiculous. I can't believe I'm casting this game right now. That is, that's kind of wild when you think about it. Triple villager count that is happening here. 3TC is going to be responsible for it. Can we do a little bit of an eco check? Hold on. How can I check? I'm going to see if I can try and find some idle villagers here. Actually, it's not finding idle villagers. I'm going to try something here. Bear with me, bear with me. All right. And now we come up here. I'm going to follow this one right here. All right. Compare the pair. There you go. Have a look at that. Try and go comparing the pair. We got the 2 farming economy. I tell you what, that was really hard to do. That no man should ever have to do that. That was a little bit too much. And speaking of raids, here we go. It's going to get shut down completely. And this is part of the reason why we avoid raiding with infantry is because they get cleaned up very, very easily. Looks like he's picked up about 2 or 3 villages in this. The gold vein has now been exhausted as well. But if there's something that's on the side of Lash, it is... He's got the gold that feels a little bit closer to him than what it does to Recon. We'll say that much. So there is a potential in that. But, I mean, even then, you've still got... You know, this is 3,955 gold. He's only just cracked this one open. This one's 3,951. Like, he's got 8k gold that's right here. He's got the eco advantage. It's going to be a hard sell. I'll say that much. Looking to try and kite back here. Longbow slowly and steadily. The number's not that high. He's on 29 at the moment. Looking to deal some damage. The horseman on the front side also coming through. Meanwhile, over towards that base. More reinforcements are on the way through here. Just a matter of time until we see Imperial Age coming out from Recon. I can feel it. When you're maxed out like this, when you're sitting on 200 population, it's one of those things. Oh, speaking of 200 population, I apologize. I should have switched that over a long time ago. I know there's going to be a lot of salty Sallys out here, so I do want to apologize because, well, it's one of those things that's pretty important. You need to see the income. And speaking of income right now, have a look at the difference between these two. You're talking about, what are we sitting on here? 5,000 coming through for Recon compared to Lash, who's sitting on barely 2,000. Oh, gosh. When you see the numbers like that, it makes you feel sad for Lash. Mango Emplacement's going to look to help him out, though. If he looks to focus the back line, which he does, keep in mind he doesn't get bonus damage on the Mango Emplacement. It's just doing 8 damage every single shot that's coming through. That's one thing to note. So it's not going to be that. It's not going to be huge game-turning mangonel shots that are coming out here, but it's important to note it is solid damage that's coming through. And fighting underneath this emplacement could be a bit of a mistake here from Recon. Maybe he's just looking to throw away units. There are a fair bit of Gulams that are out on the field. I suspect they're probably coming up the rear. Indeed, they are. So he might be looking to do a bit of a flood. Outpost doesn't have the fortification yet either. But on that defense, it's going to be a whole bunch of range units. And the further he fights back into this, the worse it could get. And you can see he is getting some good value. The Mangonel Outpost actually doing some work here, turning the tides impressively. That's kind of wild when you think about just how much value he got out of that. That's an impressive emplacement right there. All right, meanwhile, on the front, barracks coming down, siege workshop. You know what that means. That means Imperial is going to be coming through any second. There it is, the Ayyubid age up now coming in. He's going to go for the quick age up as well. So it looks like he's just going to be taking the short route there. Of course, we're going to be looking at advancement. So not only is it less resources, but it's also going to be a reduced amount of time. And remember, because it's less resources, means it's less time to get to those resources, which means it is coming through probably about a minute faster than what you normally would have. So that's nice. That's nice to have. And one of the giveaways for that is all these barracks on the front together with the siege workshop. So naturally, you're going to be seeing bombards coming out, culverins coming out, maybe even a mango. I mean, you're probably not going to see a mango, because if you wanted to see a mango, you'd be looking at the wrong civilization. You'd need to be looking at a different civilization, because we don't have mangoes here. We've got manganiques. Recon beginning to push forward. Big army. Keep in mind, no elite upgrades through just yet. Once that Imperial Age comes through, then it will. We hear some deletes coming off in the background. Outpost, still no fortification just yet. He's going to look to try and siege it down. Have a look at this. It's going to take 2 or 3 volleys, and that's going to be it. Yeah, 2 volleys, and it is down. That's all it needed. It was a very, very small amount of pressure that we needed to actually put on that outpost for it to go. He barely even looked in the direction that it went down. So now there's really nothing to hold this force other than just a handful of crossbows and a whole bunch of longbows. But that Imperial Age about to come through, and I suspect when it does, Lash is probably just going to tap out. It makes it really hard once that Imperial Age comes through. Like, where do you go from there? That's the big question. And there's the age up now coming through. Imperial Age being reached. You got military in your base. Lash, go on. Type it out, mate. It's been a tough game for him. And even behind this, like, he's just been on one base the whole time. He's had a little bit of insight as to what his opponent has been up to. We've seen the 3 TCs. I think... Yeah, he's definitely seen the 3rd TC, because we saw the units that were down here. So he knows his opponent's been on 3 TCs, and I think at this stage of the game, you've got to be a bold individual to continue to play. We'll say that much. Keepers come up. Elite upgrades on the way through. Not only elite crossbows, elite horsemen, elite spearmen coming through as well. And remember, these are just not your ordinary spearmen. These are your phalanx spearmen that are going to have that extra little bit of range as well. And we do see it's going to be triple bombard that's coming through for Recon, wanting to finish the game quickly. Honestly, he's kind of struggled to finish it. And I suspect that's probably just because Lash is spending all of his resources on units and nothing else. And that's going to be it, ladies and gentlemen. It is all over, Red Rover. Wow. Okay, well, I want feedback from you guys. Let me know. I suspect that the quality of the cast has dropped significantly because of how much stuff I've had to do, so I'm going to try and reduce that down on the back end. But other than that, go check these 2 players out. I'll leave links in the description to where you can watch them live, and I'll catch you in the next one.